What's up, everybody? I'm Stella Chung, and you're watching The Weekly Fix, our weekly roundup that gets you caught up to speed on all the biggest gaming and entertainment fix stories you may have missed while you were busy working, or maybe even gaming. Today's show is full of leaks, hacks, and downright weird real-world effects from one of the most popular shows in streaming right now. You have to see it for yourself. If you're a Grand Theft Auto fan, then you'll be excited to hear that there's even more leaks for the rumored GTA Trilogy Remaster. To recap on all the leaks that have come out so far, yesterday there was a Rockstar Games launcher update that revealed slots for Grand Theft Auto 3, San Andreas, and Vice City. Last week, Korea's Game Rating and Administration Committee released a rating for Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. In the latest of leaks, GTA Forum users Allocator and Raised dug up logos and achievement icons for the games that were tweeted out by the GTA Net account. The logos seem to confirm that each game will be subtitled the Definitive Edition. Per Allocator, the achievements in each game include new and tweaked versions when compared to previous releases. The set of each logos uses familiar character art from their respective games. Honestly, with this much buzz and leaks surrounding the GTA Trilogy Remaster, I think it's about time that Rockstar just comes clean and announces it already. It's kind of the worst kept secret in games right now. In gaming community news, you might want to change your Twitch password and stream keys if you're a streamer following a huge data breach on the site. Twitch has been hit by a massive leak after an anonymous hacker posted a 125GB torrent file containing an insane amount of data for the public to access. As reported by the VGC, the hacker uploaded this file to 4chan, which contained the entirety of Twitch's source code with creator payout reports from 2019, mobile, desktop, and console Twitch clients, proprietary services, and even an unreleased Steam competitor codenamed Vapor from Amazon Game Studios. Some people have already dug into the files to figure out what other data was breached, and one person claimed that encrypted passwords have been compromised. The anonymous hacker behind the Twitch attack claims that this is just part one of the files they intend to release to the public. Their intent is to disrupt and add more competition to the online video streaming space because, quote, their, Twitch's community is a disgusting, toxic cesspool. Which, honestly, is a really odd statement coming from someone jeopardizing the entire platform's community security just to stir the waters. Twitch has confirmed the data breach and has notified users via Twitter that they would update the community when more information was available. In the meantime, please, if you haven't already, change your password, enable two-factor authentication if you have a Twitch account, and change your stream key if you stream on the site.
Rockstar Games' rumored Grand Theft Auto Trilogy remasters could be getting closer to release and may also be built in Unreal Engine. According to a verified Twitter user and reporter named Ben at RockstarIntel.com, aka at Videotech_ on Twitter, the Rockstar Games launcher on PC was updated today with file data mentioning the classic GTA Trilogy games by name, along with the word Unreal being listed repeatedly in the code. Now, this is a pretty good indication that these games, which still haven't been officially revealed or announced by Rockstar, could be here very soon. We reported on this rumored remastered trilogy back in August based on some details first shared by Kotaku, which indicated that these games would be coming not only to last-gen and next-gen consoles, but also PC and Nintendo Switch. Last week, Korea's Game Rating and Administration Committee published a rating for the Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy Definitive Edition, adding further fuel to the fire here. Now, it's also worth noting that in the last 3 months, Rockstar Games has forcibly taken down lots of classic GTA Trilogy high-definition user mods created by fans all over the internet, which completely sucks for people who made those things, but also probably shows that they're out there trying to sell their own version. Recently, Rockstar also released the trailer for the GTA 5 port coming to next-gen consoles, and it became the most downvoted PS5 game trailer ever. Suffice to say, fans are over GTA 5, even if millions of people keep buying it and throwing money at the online portion. Here's hoping that the old games with a fresh coat of paint will feel new enough to hold GTA fans over until GTA 6, which will probably release when all of us are 90 years old and in an old folks home staring at a TV screaming, GTA 6, where is it? Anyway, up next, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is getting its final character, and it's none other than Sora from Kingdom Hearts, the 50th anime sword fighter. No, just kidding, people are excited for this. The final DLC character reveal was announced in series creator Masahiro Sakurai's very last Smash Bros. Presentation today, which also served as a heartfelt send-off to the Smash Bros. Ultimate 3-year-long post-launch development journey. Sora joins a now complete roster of 89 characters, 116 stages, 201 items that professional Smash players have turned off years ago, and roughly 6 million tears streaming down the faces of people like me who really wanted Goku, Crash Bandicoot, Kratos, or Master Chief to be the final character, or literally anybody else than the guy from Kingdom Hearts. I'm just kidding. I know people love Kingdom Hearts. I don't want to take this from you. I just wanted somebody else personally. Smash Brothers is all about arguing and fighting over who the best is. So I'm going to do this until the bitter end. Sora will be added to the game on October 18th. He'll cost $5.99, or you can buy him as part of the Fighter's Pass Volume 2 DLC pack. Sora's base design is modeled on the original Kingdom Hearts game, but his other costumes reference other games in the series. Now, whether or not you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts or a fan of Smash Brothers, it's impossible to deny that Smash Brothers Ultimate is one of the most impressive video game achievements of all time. It's just seriously amazing that the team was able to pull off this roster, especially considering the sheer amount of legal red tape and paperwork that probably took to make all these characters show up in one place to kick each other's asses. So from all of us at IGN, congrats to the entire Smash Brothers Ultimate team, and here's hoping that Sakurai takes a much needed vacation on a beach and has a cocktail, relaxes, gets some sun, takes a nap.
When it comes to making money from video games, it's not PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo on top. It's Apple, a company that doesn't even make games or consoles. The Wall Street Journal reports that Apple made $8.5 billion in profits from gaming in 2019. According to the article, this totals more than what Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and Activision made that year combined. Because Apple doesn't make or sell dedicated gaming consoles or have a major game development division, most of these profits come from third-party games on the App Store, where Apple takes a 30% cut from all purchases. Players reportedly spent $45 billion in mobile games on the App Store in the 2020 fiscal year. The top two regions for spending were China and the US. But going forward, Apple may see less revenue coming in from China, as the Chinese government recently set a 3-hour limit a week for kids playing online games. The top 1% of spenders made up over 64% of sales on the App Store, spending about $2,694 each year. Those are those whales you've heard so much about. The numbers the journal used come to light as part of the recent antitrust trial between Apple and Epic, the developer of Fortnite. However, Apple says the numbers discussed were flawed and too high. One thing is clear: microtransactions, macro profits. We're just days away from the launch of Far Cry 6. Yeah! But first, looking back into the series' past, Ubisoft has confirmed a long-held fan theory about the villain of Far Cry 2, the Jackal, and how he connects to the original Far Cry story. While talking to IGN for the latest Inside Stories documentary, Far Cry 2's creative director Clint Hawking said, quote, "The Jackal is actually supposed to be Jack Carver from the original Far Cry." He explained, "Jack Carver in the original Far Cry was this shifty, smuggler, gunrunner kind of crook. The idea was the Jackal is just him 10 years later or something, after he's seen whatever he saw on this island during the events of Far Cry. Maybe it was drug-induced, maybe it's post-traumatic stress disorder, or maybe it's real, but the idea is, a decade later, he has leveled up his smuggling game and he's gotten embroiled in this conflict." For over a decade, fans of Far Cry have theorized that the Jackal is Jack Carver. The theory stems from two things. The first is that the Jackal's background is similar to that of Jack Carver's. Both characters served in the US Navy, and both had an illegal firearms trading operation. The second, more conclusive evidence is that the texture files for the Jackal are all named Jack Carver. Files such as Jack Carver _ shoes and Jack Carver _ hair make it fairly clear that at some point in development, Ubisoft referred to the Jackal as Jack Carver. And also, from Jack to Jack-O isn't too far a stroll. Now, despite all this, there's no concrete evidence within the events or world of Far Cry 2 that confirm the theory. Hawking's comment on the Jackal is the first time Ubisoft has tried to establish the link between the two characters. So, if you've been arguing since 2008 that the Jackal is Jack Carver, well, it seems like you were absolutely right, and now you have the proof. Now, myself, I got into this series with Far Cry 3, so I don't have a horse in this race. I am, however, very excited to play Far Cry 6 very soon. Yeah.
Konami, makers of pachinko machines and European football simulators, was once known primarily for its deep stable of incredible gaming properties. Properties like Silent Hill, Castlevania, and Metal Gear. According to anonymous sources speaking to Video Games Chronicle, Konami is on the cusp of digging back into its lineup of incredible franchises and bringing us some new games as well. It's also, according to VGC's sources, working on Metal Gear Solid remasters for the new consoles you still can't get, as well as a full-on remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which we can all agree is the best one anyway. The remake is supposedly being put together by Virtuous, the same Singapore-based company that brought Dark Souls to Nintendo Switch. Credit where credit is due, they did a nice job, so I personally hope these MGS rumors are true, because I love those games. Konami is also supposedly working on multiple Silent Hills games, none of which will be PT, so don't delete it off your PS4 just yet. It's also reportedly working on a new Castlevania game, one which will reimagine the game, whatever that means. As long as it still has spooky Draculas and freaky Frankensteins, I'm in. Another legendary developer, Square Enix, also showed up to TGS 2021 with a whole slew of announcements. The very first announcement during their presentation, they announced that there would be no Final Fantasy XVI announcements. Sorry, nerds, your precious Final Fantasy will have to wait. Hold up, I love Final Fantasy, and We did get news of an upcoming Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin demo. You remember that game, right? The action-packed Final Fantasy game being developed by Team Ninja. Well, you'll get to try it before you buy it, and I say go for it. Don't be afraid of who you are. Square also announced an entirely new RPG coming out in just 2 short weeks called Dungeon Encounters. This is the first new project in a very long time from the director of Final Fantasies 6, 9, and 12. I think we can all agree those are some of the best Final Fantasies of all. There was also a new trailer for Triangle Strategy, the beautiful little retro-inspired game built in the Octopath Traveler engine. I'm very interested in this one personally because I like its style a whole lot.
Sony Interactive Entertainment just landed a pretty solid acquisition in Blue Point Games, the developers that brought us the Shadow of the Colossus remake on PS4 and the PS5 remake of Demon's Souls. Now this news follows Blue Point's Demon's Souls selling more than 1.4 million copies since release. They are definitely having quite the week. Now, we here at IGN spoke with PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst and Blue Point president Marco Thrush to learn a bit more about the acquisition and overall strategy, with Thrush giving us a little insight on what's next for the studio. And here's a hint, it's not another remake. Thrush told us, quote, "Our next project, we're working on original content right now. We can't talk about what that is, but that's the next step in the evolution for us. The transition from remasters to remakes was to test ourselves and push ourselves harder for the next step. We have that original game development mindset in our hearts, and that's what we're now finally ready with the support of Sony to push forward and show what we can do and show what PlayStation can do." Thrush also spoke to the amount of experience the team at Blue Point have in game development, stating that most working there have about 15 years in the business and come from original game development. So essentially, their experience in game dev extends far outside the scope of remaking a pre-existing game, and with the backing of PlayStation, we'll get to see what original stories the studio can spin up. Now, while the studio has a surprisingly quick turnaround with these remakes and remasters, don't expect that from their original game. Thrush mentioned to us how Blue Point was fortunate to basically get handed the blueprints of the original games with the remakes and remasters they worked on, where they were just tasked with adding polish to said games. With original game development, he mentions how they'll be laying out the blueprint for themselves, so it'll obviously take them longer than any of the remakes and remasters they've worked on. With more resources coming from PlayStation, Blue Point should be able to churn out quality original titles in the near future. On why this latest acquisition occurred and what is expected of these teams, Herman Hulst said, quote, "They need to be quality oriented. We're not buying teams to just be bigger. We're only buying teams because we feel that together we're going to make something that is going to be even better than if we did it separate from one another." Only time will tell what PlayStation and Blue Point has in store for us gamers. Now let's wait and see. In other news, would you believe it if I told you Christopher Judge was the reason God of War Ragnarok was delayed to next year? Yeah, well, according to the voice actor himself, that's what happened. Now, the man behind the iconic voice of Kratos since 2018's God of War recently shared a rather heartfelt story to his Twitter followers, explaining that the reason the game was delayed was due to back and knee surgery he underwent, as well as having both his hips replaced. According to Judge, Sony Santa Monica Studio approached him with love and support throughout this time in his life, even waiting for him to complete rehab. He went on to talk about how much heart and soul was poured into the making of the God of War franchise and how the studio sticking by him in his time of need should give us all hope. Now, Judge shared this story with the fans, and honestly, I really think, we all should be very happy that he did. You never know what someone's going through, so it's great to hear he's in both great spirits and health. Love that man, and I'm sure we'll all love God of War Ragnarok when it releases sometime next year.
It's time for our mid-show break, but stick around. Venom 2 is taking the world by storm, and so is Squid Game, but in a way you may not have expected. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you've spent any time on the internet over the past week, you've heard of Squid Game. But what if I told you that the brutal hit series was affecting our world in a very real way? But first, Venom 2 is absolutely cleaning up at the box office.
Venom Let There Be Carnage is wasting absolutely no time licking up the big bucks at the box office, setting a pandemic record with its $90.1 million domestic intake this weekend. Now, Venom 2's box office debut numbers edged out Black Widow's, which previously held that title at $80 million. Now, as reported by Variety, Venom 2 also opened in Russia to $13.8 million in ticket sales and is set to premiere in Latin America next week before its major international rollout. Now, speaking on Venom 2's box office numbers, Sony's chairman Tom Rothman said, quote, "We are also pleased that patience and theatrical exclusivity have been rewarded with record results. With apologies to Mr. Twain, the death of movies has been greatly exaggerated." Indeed, it was. Now, Venom 2's success at the box office is proof that the fans are willing to head to the theaters to see the right movies. And with these opening numbers in the US, Venom and Eddie Brock are gonna be eating good when those international numbers eventually roll in.
I will let you eat everybody! Promise! I promise! Oh, yeah!
In other news, sounds like actor Ben Affleck actually enjoyed his time reprising his role of Batman in the upcoming Flash movie. Speaking with Variety, Affleck commented on his role in the upcoming superhero flick in comparison to his time as the Dark Knight in the Justice League by saying, quote, "It was a really nice way to revisit that as the prior experience had been difficult. This was really lovely, really fun. I love Ezra and I had a chance to see Jason Momoa, who's over there making Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom." Now, I'm sure we all can't wait to see Ben Affleck reprise his role as Batman when The Flash hits theaters November 4th, 2022. Netflix's Squid Game has taken the world by storm, currently on track to becoming the streaming giant's most popular show. Trending across social media, the Korean language series about a twisted faux reality competition has seemingly had some real-world implications for a couple of Korean citizens. Now, it all started during a few scenes in the first and second episodes of Squid Game where players were ordered to call a specific phone number to confirm their participation in the competition. Well, it turns out that number belongs to an actual South Korean woman. Speaking with SBS News, a woman by the name of Kim Gil-young spoke about the countless prank calls she was receiving and the endless text messages she got. One of the callers apparently told her that they were in debt and was willing to join the game. Now, the woman claims that a source from Squid Game's production company Siren Pictures offered her 1 million won as compensation. And the terrorizing phone calls don't stop there. A South Korean man was also bombarded with thousands of phone calls after his digits popped up in an episode of Squid Game. Now, the man's phone number appeared on multiple business cards in the episode in question, with curious viewers, many of them calling to profess their interest in being in the show's life or death game. Now, he wasn't aware of why his phone was suddenly being blown up by a bunch of callers until one of the prank callers told him that the number was featured on the show. For the unnamed man, there is a small bright side, however. According to the South China Morning Post, a South Korean presidential hopeful stepped up to offer the man 100 million won for his phone number. Now, the man is a bit reluctant to part ways with his number, however, as he's had it for 10 years and it's linked to his business. With the growing success of Squid Game, you might be able to squeeze a whole lot more money if you just auction off that number. Think about it, it's an idea. According to Inside Korea, Netflix and Siren Pictures are aware of these issues and are trying to contact the victims of this real-life Squid Game situation. Yeah, would love to know your thoughts on this. Comment down below. And please stop calling those folks. Just stop, okay, guys? Just stop. Now, in other Squid Game related news, looks like the success of the show is bogging down internet connections for one South Korean ISP. according to Reuters, SK Broadband has sued Netflix to pay for all the increased network traffic they've been receiving, which has led to more maintenance work on the internet service provider's end. Now, the surge of viewers is what's reportedly led to this increase in network usage. Last year, Netflix slapped a lawsuit against SK Broadband as to whether or not they had any obligation to provide them compensation for SK's network usage. Now, the Seoul Central District Court ruled in favor of the ISP, stating that Netflix must provide a reasonable return for the service SK Broadband is providing customers. Now, Netflix has stated that they will review the internet service provider's claim, seeking a dialogue to explore ways to ensure customers aren't affected. Man, it seems everyone is coming after that sweet, sweet Squid Game pie. Squid pie, yeah, ugh. HBO Max has given us our first look at Peacemaker in action with an exclusive clip from the upcoming series. Now, with it comes many questions like, why is Peacemaker showing up to a diner in a glittery vehicle dressed in his uniform? More importantly, why does he have a bald eagle in the backseat of his car? Now, these are all the questions the rest of Peacemaker's team ask him as he arrives at the diner in the show's clip. Now, there's many more questions like, why would Peacemaker name his bird sidekick Eagly? That's a weird one.
Eagly is your pet eagle.
Yeah.
Is your dog named Doggy?
All right. Do you have a daughter named Daughtery?
Now, we'll likely find out all the answers to these questions brought up in the James Gunn directed series, which picks up after the events that took place in the Suicide Squad movie. The Peacemaker series is set to premiere on HBO Max next year in January. Now, in other DC news, it looks like we're getting a new live-action miniseries in the form of Batman Wayne Family Adventures. Now, based on the webtoon of the same name, the 3-part miniseries in partnership with DC will premiere October 11th exclusively on the YouTube channel Ismahawk. And we here at IGN have these exclusive images for you to check out from the upcoming live-action series. Now, Wayne Family Adventures follows the lives of Bruce's adopted family as they take off on fun comedic adventures. Now, it's the Wayne family like you've never seen them depicted on the screen. Less brooding, which is always quite nice. They're happy, folks. Now, catch Wayne Family Adventures, set to premiere on YouTube October 11th.
All of us at Marvel Studios are excited to have, finally in one place, in 2 epic volumes, the history of what we've been up to for 2 decades. The story of Marvel Studios, the making of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, chronicles from the early days of the studio before Iron Man 1 all the way through the completion of the Infinity Saga and everything in between.
This is truly, of all of our book experiences, the biggest in scale and scope, which is appropriate for Marvel Studios.
For 4 years, Marvel Studios gave us unprecedented access. We conducted more than 200 interviews, including all of the Marvel Studios producers, the creatives from every department of the studio, and the cast and crew of the Infinity Saga. You will get an experience of the real-life personal stories that are behind those stories that you love so much from the MCU.
I have always said I'm a fan. There's a story in this very book you will read about the influence that behind-the-scenes books had on me personally, and I always thought, even at that time, wouldn't it be great someday that Marvel Studios had our own book that can inspire the next generation. I hope that's what this book does for all of our fans and really is a testament to them and what they've allowed us to do for over 10 years.
This is it, heroes. Start your missions.
Why were superhuman powers, the meta abilities known so casually as quirks, forced upon our kind? These quirks bring about nothing but tragedy. They are not a blessing on our world, but the beginning of its end. We Humorize must take action. Even if it means dyeing the earth red with blood.
Your leader's gone. Search the premises.
I repeat, Humorize has placed bombs around the world. The weapons are set to explode in 1 hour and 52 minutes unless the heroes are able to find and disarm them worldwide.
Heroes, success or failure of this task rests on your shoulders. This is it, heroes. Start your mission. Go!
heroes, our friends, and the world. You humans are being threatened by the sickness of quirks. The gravely afflicted are beyond our help. Deku!
I won't give up! Because Deku would never give up!
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be right here next Saturday to get you caught up on all the biggest in gaming and entertainment news. See you then.